Thank you very much. We're back. No action was taken during executive session. We're going to move on to number 7 in our agenda list, and that's requested for items to be discussed by a county administrator, and it's specifically related to SUNY Adirondack. So, Mr. Taplin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not asking for a motion on this at this point. We've had 2 meetings, a number of us with Washington County on SUNY Adirondack funding. And I want to tell you where we are now and what's going to happen going forward. On the 24th of April, we're going to have a joint, and SUNY Adirondack will host this, a joint meeting of our Personnel and Higher Education Committee and our Finance Committee with Washington County's Finance Committee and their Higher Education Committee. They have a separate committee for that. And at that point, we'll talk about and answer any questions about the proposal that we have kind of prepared for funding for SUNY Adirondack. And we'll answer all the questions at that point, and then we'll probably bring it back to our Personnel and our Finance Committee in late April for presentation or for a resolution if it's approved for the board in May. And that's along the same timeline that Washington County is going to follow. So in your packet, there are two scenarios that I'll discuss a little bit, but I want to give you just a little bit of background while we can. So we've been doing this now for about 2 years, I believe, talking about increasing the funding for SUNY Adirondack. There have been 2 numbers I think we've kicked around a lot. One was we need to get our sponsor contribution. The sponsor contribution is paid by Washington County and Warren County based on the full-time equivalent attendees from our counties at SUNY Adirondack. Currently, that number is roughly 27% for Warren County and about 20% for Washington County. The college had asked, and our combined funding right now is currently this year, ours is 2.173 million. Washington County is 1.613 million for a total of 3.786 million. They've asked that our contribution go to 5 million, and we've talked about various ways to get there over, say, about a 5-year period. The other number that the college had discussed is they would request that our combined sponsor contribution, Washington and Warren County, go to 15%. We're currently at 11.42%. So as we sat down with Washington County, they had another point, and all of these things kind of get to the same point. But the Community College Regulation Part 600 recommends that the local sponsor share represent 33% of the community college budget. It's like a 3-legged stool. There's 33%. Now, the local sponsor share, keep in mind, we have the sponsor contribution is what Warren County puts in. A sponsor contribution is what Washington County puts in, but the local sponsor share also includes chargeback. Currently, right now, chargeback, that's what other counties pay us for, or pay the college for people who attend the college. Right now, that chargeback is about 53% of the amount that they get each year. It's more than Washington County and Warren County put in together. As a matter of fact, most of it's paid by Saratoga County. Saratoga pays more to the college than we both pay in our sponsor contributions. So, but that's what makes up the 33%. So it's the chargeback plus the Washington plus the Warren County contribution. And Washington County had a proposal that we try to get to that 33% over a 5-year period. And that 33% coincidentally comes out to pretty much meet the 5 million request for the college and also meet the 15% contribution for Warren and Washington County. So that's what you have in your packet. There are two ways of getting there. One is you see at the top, it's a 5-year smoothing method where we went out 5 years and said, let's get to 33% at the 5-year point. How much do we need to do if we did a 2% growth? Now, each one of our counties has already planned for 2% growth for the college over a 5-year period. That's what we've generally increased our contribution by each year. This would be 2% on top of that, so it'd be a 4% contribution. And then the 3% would be basically a 5% contribution. It just gets us there a little bit faster. It's based on, again, back to the college budget. And the college has done a pretty good job with their budget. They've flatlined it for about the last 3 years. So they're pretty good stewards of their budget. And they haven't been increasing dramatically. What you see, there are just three different views. They're all the same view. The top one gives you a percentage. The middle view gives you the amount each year you're going to increase by, and that's cumulative based on what you did the previous year. So the bottom line look, the bottom part of this is the cumulative number. So basically at a 2% growth, Warren County would contribute an additional $913,000. And Washington County would contribute an additional $676,000. So they're going to grow at the same rate of contributions that we would grow at. And at the 3%, our contribution is about $1 million over that time. And Washington County is about $800,000 over that same time period. So this is what I believe we're going to talk about on the 24th and answer any questions. So I just you've seen a lot of numbers in the past. We've talked about whether we do it based on equalized full value or full-time equivalents. In our discussions with Washington County, there was a resolution at one, or a statute at one point that said, for community college funding for sponsor contributions, you should use equalized full value for capital projects at the college and full-time equivalent when determining what the sponsor contribution needs to be. So as I said, I think this is the focus to try to get to 33%. That gets us to 15%. It gets us to 5 million. It's all based on full-time equivalent with an equal share of the increase being borne by Washington County. So they'll continue to increase based on the current FTE at theirs is again 20% and ours is 27%. Okay. And the chargeback cost, I told Anne Marie and Dr. Duffy they didn't have to stay around for this portion. The chargeback is something that it's pretty complex, and she explained it to me, but I was hoping she'd be around to do that if we had the discussion earlier. So, but she definitely can explain how chargeback fees are determined at the 24th meeting. So, any questions at this point?
Any questions? It's going to be one of these deals where we have to make a joint decision with Washington County.
Right.
So we can't go it alone. We have to do it together.
We have to do it. And that is one of the, it doesn't work if you don't do it together. So we can't say, yeah, we'll do it. And Washington County says, well, we're not going to do it. The numbers don't work out. So that's what it has to be. We're hoping that we'll get a, if we go forward with this increase to the SUNY budget for our sponsor contributions, that both Warren and Washington County do it together. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. As a member of the Budget Committee, I'm sure glad I'm not the budget officer. Seems like he's being attacked from all sides, but any comment on this, Frank?
I support it fully. We've been at this since early 2020.
Mhm.
Got interrupted by COVID and then it started up again about a year and a half ago with the change in equalization using the assessed value. And I don't think anybody cared for that too much.
Okay.
Glad to see that we're back to the split and the one thing on chargebacks, the more sponsor contribution, the higher the rate the chargeback is to the college. So the more money that they get, and that money goes into capital projects, capital money.
Mr. Swan, comment?
Yeah, just to give.
Or the microphone, if you don't mind, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
On the chargebacks, just a point of reference, Herkimer County, their chargeback rate that we're paying has gone up about 140 or 150% over the last.
At
few
one
years.
sixty-seven, yeah.
And our chargeback rate going out is only gone up 48%. Okay, so that's one of the reasons, if you see in our budget analysis report, that chargeback number that we're paying out, which was like 250,000 maybe 3 years ago, is now $500,000 because of those increases that the other colleges are doing, and we're not going up at the same rate, which is part of this complex formula, which goes back to our sponsorship. Okay, so it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because the more we pay in, the less we got to pay out on the other side.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So do we have a time for the joint meeting yet?
9 o'clock. I think we're recommending on it.
You're gonna probably need to change that. That's the same day as the Crime Victims Memorial event, so I would suggest you try and schedule it for the afternoon. That's at 9:30. And usually it's at least an hour, and then they have refreshments afterwards. So I would say if you're looking to get a quorum of both committees, I would schedule it in the afternoon.
Okay, we'll work on the schedule.
What's the date for that? Do we have a date?
We set the 24th of April.
Monday after the board meeting.
Great. Frank?
Besides that, this is just meeting the county's commitment. I mean, the county committed to sponsor at 1/3 the two counties. So, it's time that we do that. I mean, I don't see how just shoving it off on the student, making the student pay more, or being in the state pays more. That's not what we agreed to back in the 60s.
I'm happy to hear that. So great. Any other questions or comments? Jen, thank you very much. Hopefully we can pull this off. Next item on the agenda, Amanda, this is for increases to our coroner and the coroner services.
Yep, so there's the letter from Dr. Sikorica is in the agenda, saying that the autopsy fee is increased by $100 to $1,500 for autopsies performed at Glens Falls Hospital and $1,350 when they're performed at Albany Med. They periodically increase those fees, and unless you have another place to go, we're kind of stuck.
Seems like this happens every year. We have a motion to bring this forward. Supervisor Stack, Supervisor Thomas on the second. Any comments or questions, concerns?
Do we have enough in the budget?
In
We
that
never have
budget, we
enough.
never have enough in that budget.
So it doesn't make any difference.
No, what we do is just spend the money that we
Yeah,
were budgeted, and
your
at the end of
budget, then we
the,
have
towards the end of the year, we'll come
yeah.
back and ask for more as we need it. I mean, we could get lucky this year and be under, but it hasn't happened in quite a few years that we haven't been back to ask for money. You just don't know.
Any other questions, comments? Call a question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. On to item 5, which is basically referrals. Jackie's not here to talk about the workforce violence policy. Or that's Larry. I'm sorry. Larry, we have any updates on the workforce violence policy?
No.
Keep it on the referral agenda?
We will get to it at some point this year.
Okay, thank you. Remote work policy, from what I understand, Jackie's working on that. And we just talked about the joint personnel, higher education, finance committees to discuss the SUNY formula. Doesn't appear as though there are any other items. Item 6 on the agenda is positions authorized for filing or filling by the standing committee since last meeting. Any comments, questions on that? Seeing none, privilege of the floor, public comment. Seeing none. Any other business of the committee that I may have missed or anyone else wants to bring up? Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Garrity, Supervisor Thomas.